Mess it. The hockey stick over there. Hockey sticks there. I brought mine and my skates. The rink isn't bad considering it's been so mild. At least the kids are using them anyway, so I'm happy they're using them. That's my old stick there. Well, nobody's broken it yet anyway. I'll put this back. All right, so today is inauguration day. My dad had time off today, so I wasn't able to sit there and watch the Trump inauguration. I'll watch it later, so hopefully he hasn't been assassinated or anything. At this point of the game, I don't know, what's going on in Washington there. So, but there was other things that were kind of coming up that I thought I'd make a World War III update. And set that so let's put that. There we go. Don't need it on. It's like +5 out right now. Like it's really, really, really mild. And there's a whole bunch of, I think there's going to be a convoy of snowmobiles out there. So I'll do a quick video, my usual quick videos, and I'll go with that. I'm going to put my skates on, go skate. I was going to go skiing on the little hill today, but I figured I'd go skating instead. So all right. I guess I babbled on this. Get to the point, you guys. Yeah, you guys are always kind of. All right. This one, again, I think the #1 journalist on the planet, not just this year, but like, I'd say years running, Ben Swann. You can't say enough about Ben Swann. Now, I know some people, they just want to hear about military movements on the ground. You guys hammer me on that too. We don't need to know this, but the reason why there's military movements on the ground in places around the world is because of the other stuff. So it's all like, you have to see it all as one big picture, right? But Ben Swann on CBS 42 did a thing on Pizzagate. I have not seen this yet. Apparently they pulled it within the first 24 hours, which, again, it just shows you, and I know Ben Swann wouldn't go at it, he did this, he would just point out the factual trail. That's all. The reality check series that Ben Swann has is superb, So hopefully nobody knocks him off. But that's the kind of journalist, if we had journalists like that at CNN and CBC here, we'd have such a great world because they would be so factual. Again, he's excellent on that. So I want to see that. I want to see what that, because that does link into the stuff we're seeing. It's the same group of people, right? Roger Stone, assassination attempt. This Roger Stone guy, I don't know a lot about it. I know I've seen him on Alex Jones a few times. Apparently he was like a hitman for the CIA or something along that line. So quote me on that. But again, what did I say we would see is these 5 years first. This is the stuff that's in the daylight. Can only imagine what we don't know. That said, this one's kind of big, and I think this goes to the cleanup crew. Libya has just gotten stealth B-2 hits. Basically, they're striking along the coastal lines. Basically, what they're doing is they're trying to, because the Libyan government, their puppet government isn't working, and what's happening is that they're trying to sell the oil outside the U.S. dollar, which we know what happens when you sell the oil outside the U.S. dollar, that type of thing. And there's a bit of an irony here because of all these people trying to overthrow like Iran, for example, but Iran sells oil in the euro, I believe, and other, I guess, imagine they must do other currencies as well. At least that's what I've heard. If that's not true, again, whatever. I want to be as factual as possible. And then, it's very hard, again, because I can only go by the news I can find, right? So I do like it when you guys jump in and say, no, Reg, that was a false report or whatever came from here. I mean, we've got to work together as a team if we want to step up and above the mainstream media as much as possible. But B-2s have done strikes on the coast of Libya there. I can imagine they were hitting like oil refineries and stuff like that is what they said, or at least what I heard, which is nothing new. So I guess what this is, and again, in Libya, anybody that's striking in Libya is a terrorist, right? So anybody that doesn't want the U.S. puppet regime in there, like what happened in Egypt, they're all terrorists. But in Egypt, we don't hear from Egypt. I think Egypt has completely switched to the Russian side. Turkey is definitely moving towards Russia. There's a Russian diplomat that died on the 20th of December. Not the one that was there was two that were knocked off. There was that public assassination one. That one, Oli Demagar, how do you say? He was on SGT report, and he points out some really interesting things that might have been a false flag or a staged event. He doesn't know yet, and I don't know either. But there are some things. Now, the problem I have is when people say, no, there's no blood anywhere, there's no blood anywhere. As a hunter, okay, it's not like Hollywood. You don't see blood flying all over the place all the time. Sometimes you'll get a huge blood. You shoot a deer, for example. The first 100 feet, there's not a drop of blood. Where he dies, the area is covered. Or he's dead and all the blood stays internal. It really depends on the bullet wound. We don't know. But on a clear floor, you would think you would see blood coming out with the pressure and everything. So these are valid points, but they're not absolutes. That type of thing. Again, as a hunter and a trapper, I haven't trapped in a while, but I have put animals down and stuff like that, so I know what gunshots wounds look like. And it's not consistent all the time. Sometimes, it's just plastered blood everywhere. Other times, there's a couple of drops. I don't know why it's like that. It just is what it is. Something to consider. But that said, what would have been the statement? Well, we still don't know what. I mean, the Russians could have knocked this guy off for himself. But there does seem to be some sort of what they said. It looked like it was a staged kill room. I mean, they looked at the pictures in the background and stuff like that. And again, it's hard to say. Yes, of course, there's going to be a Russian theme there. So again, is there something there? Is there not? But there's suspicion there. That said, the other guy that died in New York, and then of course you had all these Russian diplomats pretty much kicked out of the United States. First time in history that's ever happened. That only happens usually before a war breaks out. And then of course we've got this new guy, a Russian diplomat dies in Athens on the 20th, I guess, of December. I don't know much about that one. Or if that's the same guy, so maybe it's two guys, and I'm just hearing a new report of the one guy again. So, but that said, like I said, the spy vs. spy stuff, right? This is a little bit eye-opening, and I forget where I heard it, but it was recently posted. And something to consider, okay? All the bombs dropped in World War II, I guess excluding Nagasaki and Hiroshima, came up to 2 megatons of TNT. That's the equivalent. Which 2 megatons is basically one warhead. One warhead can be 10, 15 megatons. So all the bombs dropped by the Allies in World War II, which we're talking hundreds of thousands of bombs, close to 250,000 bombs, something along that line, in a 6-year span, 39 to 45 in Europe. I don't think this includes Japan, maybe it does. But anyway, it just gives you a perspective of how much firepower these things really are. And another interesting fact is that one nuke has the power of all World War II, pretty much. But in World War III, there's going to be over 15,000 targets, I guess, on both sides. So 15,000 nukes, which most likely exist, even if you just factor. Russia, I think they have 5,000 active nukes. In the sense of that's what's in the current stockpile that they're using. Because I mean, they rearrange stuff too. The U.S. probably around that. So that said, unreports 140,000 nukes worldwide. We just don't know what's out there because nobody's forthcoming with what they actually have. Apparently, Israel has none out of their 660 nukes. They have none, but they might have more than that. Some people say it's 300. Some people say so. If you can find out that for sure that they have 660, they probably have 6,000. You know what I mean? Like it's just ridiculous. The Global Times in China warns, and now this is not a Chinese government affiliate. They're just, they're an opinion piece. But we know about opinion pieces in China. They pretty much are sanctioned, regulated free speech there, Is out there saying that if Trump wants a war with China, he better be prepared to go the whole way, kind of paraphrasing you. Better be ready for full-out war. And China's not happy with the Trump administration. They're really not happy with it. They were in Davos. They sent people to Davos, and they're like, basically war on globalism, nationalism could lead to war and stuff. All the rhetoric that they're putting out at Davos. I'm still watching what's going on in Davos and stuff like that. It's being overshadowed by the Trump administration. The Trump administration didn't go. Trudeau didn't go from here in Canada. But right now, Trudeau's on the holy crap apology tour for all my corruption. The CBC's painting this is going well, but he was here in Quebec and he didn't answer a single question in English. Here in Quebec, and there's a lot of misconceptions about it here in Quebec, that it's all full of separatists and everybody. No, that's maybe at best 23% of the population wants to separate, that's a big number. That's all like Eastern Quebec. That's like Trois-Rivières, Quebec City, and way past that way, Saint Anne, those areas. Yeah, they're very, very, very francophone there. There's no doubt about that. But the rest of the province is 53% bilingual. And the other, unilinguals, English, French, there's a little more unilingual French than there is like unilingual English, but the majority of the province are Canadians. You know, they're bilingual. So Trudeau's out there, and you know, people are asking him English is in both French and English. And in Quebec, the way the Quebec people work, and this is something that the visionary separatist politics is such a minority. But the way Quebecers are is, if I run into somebody that doesn't speak a word of English, we'll do sign language or whatever. It's like whatever it comes up to, we'll make do. Somebody's trying to communicate to me in French, and they don't, whatever. We make it work. It's the way people. They just get. They don't hate each other here. I have family members that only speak French. But I don't talk to them anymore. We'll sign language, whatever. We'll drink a beer together. It's not the issue. The rest of the country. That's why we could get rid of Bill 101. It would. I don't think there'd be an uproar from Quebec City, but that's it. The rest of the province would be like, it's about time. It's about time. But anyway, yeah. So he shuns us there. But he's out there saying, I'm not going to Davos because it has bad optics. Last year, Justin Trudeau, remember, I don't know if he's made it to a Bilderberger meeting yet. And I refer to Davos because Davos is a big key in where the world goes in the next year. Every time, Davos is like the open Bilderberger meeting. It's the same people that show up. It's just here you get to kind of see on the world stage. And the Bilderberger meeting, Trudeau hasn't been invited to yet that I know of. But I'm sure he would go. Remember Dan Dykes from Press for Truth was out there saying, asking Trudeau, have you been to the Bilderberger meeting yet? He says, no, I haven't been invited. Which, two things. Number one, he hasn't been invited, but the big one is he acknowledges the Bilderbergers exist. So that's good. That was before he was Prime Minister. I'm sure he would backtrack on it now. But anyway, enough on him. But Trump was out there saying, no, my electorate voted me to be anti-establishment. I'm not going to go to Davos, which is the establishment. Okay, but you have China there, which is, again, China's really trying to make a move on the world stage. They are in a position to do this, and we're going to talk about China a lot, which, like I said, after Trump, if Trump got elected, all bets are off. And 2017, we're 20 days into the year, and those last 20 days has probably been almost as bizarre as the last past 6 months. Wait till February. You know what I mean? Like, that's all I can say. We're going to see some crazy, crazy things. So, with that going on, China is also doing other things. Maybe I'll flip over here. China is dumping, and this is the thing about the hyperinflation. This is why you got to buy your food now. First, we're going to talk about Venezuela here. I can't stress it enough. 1 ounce of silver can buy you at this current moment, probably even more now, at last count, within the last past 30 days, can buy you 5 to 6 months worth of food, because their currency, which is just beyond Weimar Republic right now, $1 US is worth about something like 600,000 of the Venezuelan currency. I forget what's the name of it. Whatever it is, the name of the currency. It's like not peso, but it's like whatever it is. I mentioned it before, but I'm brain fart right now. People have given their kids away because they can't afford to feed them. There are reports of cannibalism. People are eating their pets. They're eating out of dumpsters. This is a country. Venezuela has probably more oil than Canada, which is a lot of damn oil. They can be 100% self-sustaining, but because of the way the U.S. Trying to do regime change in there and destroying their economy, it's the same problem Canada has, same problem Russia has, is we're addicted to an oil-based economy. And we have nothing to fall back on. And even the United States is kind of in that kind of game to a degree. This is the problem. The petrodollar is toxic. It is death. It's a death and debt-based economy. Wherever the petrodollar goes, you either take the petrodollar currency or you get democracy JDAMs or regime change, color revolutions, whatever. So China and Japan, now China and Japan are going to be long from being best friends for a long time. They got a lot of bad blood between them. Despite the SJW, social justice warrior education system that's out there now, no other countries did do bad things to each other, hence why they got bad blood. Japan has kicked the shit out of China a few times, believe it or not. I mean, you think about this little island of Japan, I guess it'd be like this, and this big, almost continent-sized country the size of China. But Japan invaded there. During World War II, they massacred tens of thousands of people in China. They brutalized them. And you go back 300 years and you can find destabilized Asians, as a general, not as individual, but Asians as a general group of people hate each other with a passion. They've got bad blood, they've got bloody history. that type of thing. And that stuff still plays out today. However, they've mellowed out a lot, like most of the places around the world. And China, this year alone, okay, has dumped $1.049 trillion. They have $4 trillion of debt, U.S. debt. They have now dumped $1.4 trillion. And it looks like with the Chinese, what they did with a lot of the U.S. debt is build these mega cities that nobody lives in, and they're all decaying right now because nobody can afford to live there, and they're not letting, I don't know what they're doing. The idea is they don't want to be caught holding the bag of useless U.S. currency because they're trying to overthrow the U.S. dollar. But they can't just send it back to the United States in here, take your treasury bonds back, whatever. They'll collapse themselves. So what the Chinese are trying to do is spend it. They're trying to spend it, and then what they don't spend, they're sending back so that they don't need it anymore. They're trying to float their yuan renminbi out there as a competing currency, which it is. It's just it hasn't taken hold yet. If it does, goodbye U.S. currency. Goodbye U.S. currency. Africa will use it. South America will use it. Here in Canada, and even Europe and Canada, we're already making deals to use it. Justin Trudeau is opening up a Chinese central bank for the yuan renminbi here in Canada. This started under Harper. We're playing both sides, if you're wondering. So, again, you got factions fighting in every country, right? So this is why you're seeing this kind of double speak. What it is one faction is trying to get the yuan renminbi as a one world currency and get away from the U.S. currency. The other faction is saying, no, take on U.S. currency, which creates destabilization. And if it gets bad enough, your country's going to look like Venezuela. That type of thing. So that's going on. Japan has already dropped $23 billion, and Japan is an economic basket case. But the thing about Japan is it's a homogeneous country. They can weather the storm in the long run. So even right now they're in a demographic winter where their population is, nobody's having kids, yada, yada, yada. But that's okay because if Japan's population were to cut in half over the next generation, things will stabilize and maybe a watermelon won't cost you $105. You know what I mean? That type of thing. But Japan, they're still one of the biggest taking on of the debt, but they're also now starting to dump some of that debt because they have to work within their region. They have to work with a war between, even though Japan and China have agreed that we can have a limited war. What does that even mean? What does that even freaking mean? Okay. Let's see. We have samurai. Yeah. And the Chinese be like, oh, you have samurai? We have kung fu, and we have tiger bite for you. Okay. We fight now. We fight only with samurai and crouching tiger. Crouching tiger, yeah, we do crouching tiger. Oh, smoking eagle! You not see smoking eagle? I hit you with smoking eagle. Atomic bear hit you in nut. Yeah. Samurai go, oh, you fight dirty. You fight very dirty. I draw my samurai sword. Ha! No, it's a nuke! Ha! In your eye. Now that I've lost every Japanese and Chinese subscriber that I have, I am an asshole. You gotta just. Sorry, you just got to go with that. It happened at birth. But anyway, that is a big player on where the world markets are going to go. And the world markets, remember, all wars are Israeli wars, all wars are bankers' wars. It's this neocon crazy one world globalization agenda. And the world being divided into two empires, the Eurasian Pacific Empire, China, Russia, Iran, India, the BRICS nations, and other nations jumping in on that. This could also include Argentina, many South American nations, African nations that are trying to move towards that side of the empire, globalized empire, versus the Anglo-American transatlantic empire, which is the Canada, the United States, Europe, and the petrodollar, right? So that's what's playing out. And as this stuff is going to get very crazy and unstable, please put food away. Okay, so going back to here, the Turks and the Russians are working together. There was, I think, 4 Turkish airplanes working with 3 or 4 Russian airplanes doing a bombing strikes and stuff like that. So I think the first NATO country that becomes a non-NATO country will be Turkey. Turkey is in that rock and hard place. If they cross the Russians will arm the Kurds and there will be no more Turkey. It will be just completely destabilized. The economic sanctions from Russia hurt Turkey bad. They hurt them really bad. It hurts their tourism. It hurts them. The Russians don't even have to lift a finger to destroy Turkey. They can just let Turkey destroy itself. So the Turks look like on the back deals that they're playing ball with the Russians. And if they're coordinating in airstrikes, that means they're doing what the Russians want. The Russians aren't doing what the Turks want. So that means the United States is losing Turkey, which means the United States may destabilize Turkey. It's kind of the par for the course. But then again, we got Trump in there now. If he's not dead at the making of this video, I don't know. I won't see the inauguration stuff till later tonight. So, but definitely something that we're going to have to keep an eye on. Okay, Trump's take on NATO. This is a very important. He said it throughout the campaign, and I do agree with him that people in NATO, if they want to be in NATO, they got to pay their fair share. And there's only, I think, 2 countries that have paid their share, and I can't remember the 2 countries. One's an Eastern country. It might have been Poland, and it might be Germany. Don't quote me on that. Maybe not Germany. Anyway, whichever country it is, that actually paid their 2% of GDP like they're supposed to. And Trump's saying no more free ride. Now, here in Canada, my take on it, let's get out of NATO altogether. Canada does not need, we don't have the military to be in NATO anyway. And the money we would save getting out of NATO, we could put towards a better military here. I wouldn't mind putting more money, taking money from NATO, putting it into NORAD. Why? Because the Russians are, the tactics haven't changed since the Cold War. The bombers are coming over the North Pole, and we know that the Russians have opened up a ton of old Russian bases, Cold War bases. There's like, I think 28, anywhere between 18 and 28 of them opened up in the Arctic. They're damn close to our border. So they're coming over, hopscotch over. So either we Canadians shoot down those bombers over the Arctic, or the Americans shoot down Russian bombers over Canadian cities. That type of thing. I think the Russians would pretty much just bypass us anyway. But it's just that the bombers are coming over that way. And so it makes more sense to beef up NORAD, work with a partner country. I'm all for working with the United States on that. But we don't need to be in eastern Ukraine. We don't need to be there at all. Canada, yes, we've got a huge Ukrainian population in Canada, but we're Canadians. Canada first. You know, your nationality is going to be second. Canadian first. We'll take care of Canada. The Ukraine could take care of itself. But the Ukraine, basically, again, it's bad because it got thrown under the bus by the U.S. central bankers with George Soros and Victoria Nuland arming the neo-Nazis to overthrow the official government, which the Russians counter-couped with the annexing of Crimea through, it was the easiest way they could do it. It's like, yeah, they'll just have a referendum. They're going to vote for us. That type of thing. So that's what's happened there. And that's kind of turned out into a bit of a stalemate. NATO isn't going to be able to, NATO's in the spot where they can't, Ukraine can't join NATO simply due to the fact because they're already in conflict with Russia. It would be a guaranteed nuclear war the second before the ink could even dry on the document for Article 5. That type of thing. So Trump is out there. A lot of people are worried about NATO. You have the Halifax Security Summit that just happened. There's NATO people that they're terrified. They're like, oh my God, he's going to destroy NATO. Well, he might not necessarily destroy NATO, but he's going to make them pay their fair share. But then this is also why Angela Merkel is out there with other European countries talking about a European EU army. And this is already kind of in the works because they know at some point NATO's going to fall apart. NATO is just going to fall apart. Which I'm okay with if the Europeans do that. That's fine. If they want to work together as a group, that's fine. But the real strength, all of Europe right now, with the militaries they have, cannot take Russia. They need the United States there. So it's a catch-22 no matter which way you go. So I think what they're trying to do is get the European EU army up and going, which NATO doesn't like that because now that's competition with NATO. But you get the idea. Now, I forget what they call it's like basically China, Iran, India, and Russia, their kind of new version of NATO, I think Kazakhstan. This is going to stop U.S. hegemony because they'll have their version of Article 5. You attack Iran, you attack against one is attacking against all. And if that's what these Middle Eastern countries that are not on the U.S. dollar, like Syria and stuff, Syria is going to be joining this. So this will be, a defense pact that, when Israel does an airstrike against Syria, well, now that's the same as if you did an airstrike on Moscow. You see what I mean? So it escalates it, but it also creates a security thing where the U.S. can't just say we're going to overthrow that government today, like they did in Libya and Iraq and Afghanistan, and trying in Ukraine and trying in Syria. So they won't be able to do that anymore. And I don't think the American people want that anyway. So hopefully Trump will do the right thing on that. Dominic Apostolo, or however you say his name, this is one of a supporter of Hillary Clinton. This guy was just picked up for making an assassination threat against Trump. Now, there's pictures with this guy's wife and Hillary Clinton together. They sat close together. Stuff like that. How much are they connected? I don't know, but it shows you the level of Hillary Clinton supporters at best. At worst, it's I'll pay you to do this. You never know. If you haven't heard about the anti-Trumper who tried to set himself up, he wasn't. This is how brain damaged these people are. You feel bad for them to a point, but on the other hand, it's like, it's kind of hard. You're stupid, dude. There's no cure for stupidity. Tries to light himself on fire at Trump Tower, but it apparently backfired and didn't work. And then, why would you light yourself on fire? Like it's like the Tibetan monks. At least they did it right, and they really had a cause. They really had a cause. They didn't want to resort to violence, so they put the violence on themselves. And Tibetan monks would light themselves on fire, against the repression of the Chinese regime. But it's not like they could fight back anyway. They're monks. I mean, yeah, they'll kick your ass in kung fu and stuff like that, but they're not going to. It's like I give you pisas, snake eye. Okay, sure, they might do that to you, but they're not going to overthrow the Chinese Red Army. You know what I mean? The People's Liberation Army. Not going to happen. So peaceful protest against, like the people around the world. Like here's a guy sitting there peacefully, doused with gasoline, lights himself up, and sits there without screaming and yelling. That is somebody who's got a mind of iron. You know what I mean? And is very convinced. But these progressive lefties, I think they look at these pictures of like Che Guevara and Tank Man and stuff like that. And, Tank Man, if you understand the story of Tank Man, that is a brave guy. Some reports said the guy was killed. Some reports said no, the guy's still alive and fine, but we don't really know for sure. But that guy held up 90 tanks. You only see the first 5, but there was a whole row of tanks. And he gets up on the tank, opens the hatch, and starts yelling at the crew inside, "You should be ashamed of yourself." And this, the Tiananmen Square and stuff like that, And this is like, that's civil dissidence. That's somebody who's, again, he's standing in front of a tank. He's not bitching about a tender snowflake, social justice. You didn't pay for my college. I want to use whatever bathroom I want to use. No, this is a guy, you're killing my people. Going up against 100,000 pounds of steel with a barrel on it. That's balls. That's balls, So these people, they romanticize like Fidel Castro, and they wear the hammer and sickle shirt, the CCCB, that type of thing. You see these guys in college all over the place. And it's because communism hasn't been given a fair chance. It's only failed every time it's been tried. Yeah, the bloodiest ideology in history, pretty much. Okay, you guys heard about Assange and Bradley Manning being pardoned by Obama. Now, I didn't know what to make of this at first. I'm like, okay, Obama never does the right thing unless there's something attached to it. This man hasn't done the right thing in 8 years. I've watched him enough. I'm not saying that because there's evil right there. No, I'm very neutral on this. There's not been really one policy that I can find that wasn't anti-liberty that Obama brought in. I'm being as objective on this as I can. So when he does do something like this, there's usually more to the story, and in this case there is. Assange made a deal with the Obama administration, release Bradley Manning, and I'll come back to the States, but you release him right away. Obama didn't honor this. Now, I think they played the Obama administration just to kick them in the nuts maybe one last time. The deal is Assange will go to the United States and surrender or whatever, if you let Bradley Manning go, but you have to let him go right away. But they said, no, we're going to let Bradley Manning go of his 35-year sentence. Remember, Obama has prosecuted more whistleblowers than any other president in history. That's something that can be considered. So they were going to let him go in March, something like that. And I don't know what the rest of the stipulation is. There's still more of the story coming out. And Assange came back and said, okay, no, that's not what the deal was. The deal was let him go now. Just let him go. He did the right thing. And let him go. Now, my take on it is this. Okay, well, I would never let the man work in government again. It's just kind of an uphold rule of law that you can't just have anybody blowing the whistle. But he blew the whistle on good things. So he did do the right thing. That type of thing. But it's a catch-22. That you've got to make sure that, Bradley Manning did go overboard a bit. Like he leaked out information that was helpful to the public, but he also leaked out a lot of stuff that wasn't helpful to the public and that would endanger, the good guys, so to speak. Again, I'm neutral on it. I think he should be free. But, okay, you're never going to work in the government again. I'm sure you'd be fine with that. Well, clear your record. And I mean, this guy's going to get a job like that in the private sector. He's a hero. Regardless of his identity crisis right now, he's a hero. And he did take on that identity crisis till he went to prison. And that is something that does happen to people in prison. Under great stress, sometimes they will turn into the opposite sex, so to speak. A whole different story, that type of thing. We won't get into that. But anyway, yes, he should be freed. stipulations. Okay, you can't go here, you can't go there. That's fine. You're not allowed. Your government stuff, fine, whatever. Give the man a good job somewhere. Let him write a book. Let him write a book. People will buy it. That said, because the Obama administration did not follow through with what they said they were going to do, and they changed the terms and the rules of the agreement, Assange says, deal's off. Bye. Gotcha. Why? A deal's a deal. They already told the public that Obama's going to pardon Bradley Manning. They can't back out of it now. And it's too late now. Why? Today's inauguration date. Now, mind you, if Trump is still alive, I don't know. I haven't seen what's been going on today. My dad was home and, he watches the TV. I go on the internet. But I don't go on the internet till later on in the day anyway. Evening after supper type of thing. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to catch it online anyway. And I don't need to watch the play-by-play. I just want to see the Trump speech. And then I'll listen to about all the other stuff going on. So I don't know what's going on right now. Trump could be dead for all I know. If that's the case, then we're in real trouble. But if that's not the case, well, today's the cutoff date. Sorry, Obama, you can't go back on your deal. You can't stop Bradley Manning. Trump can. I think Trump, again, if he wants to outplay the Obama administration and the Clintons and everything, Snowden. The problem with Snowden is I think he is a triple, quadruple, duple, zipple, dipple. He's a triple, dipple, zillion, dipple spy. This man... Is he a Russian spy? Is he a CIA guy? I think this guy's a rogue. Most people think he's a Russian spy. He's a spy no matter, even by his own admission, he's a spy. Snowden did the right thing, but Snowden, same thing, you can't ever let him go back into the government, because I'm for new whistleblowers, not old whistleblowers, because we don't know if Snowden is corrupted or not. Right now, he played the good guy game. But he might play the bad guy game later, and this is the same problem I have with the Bradley Manning. I know a lot of people will say, no, these guys are heroes. Today, but what if Trump is the good guy, and they start working for the other guys? This is the problem with the spies. You just can't trust them. That said, the people in the administration, again, the people that we really ought to owe a thanks to are the Democrats that have leaked the stuff to Assange and stuff like that. These people, they're risking their lives. They are clearly risking their lives. There's people that have disappeared right now. There's a civil war going on in the United States. It's a soft war. It's behind the scenes. It's the hellhounds, as I call them. Like I said, they would come out in 2017. We're in the second stage of hellhounds. Trump would be a first stage. Alex Jones would be a first stage. Truthers like myself would be a first stage. We're the low-level guys that out in the public. I can say this much and whatever, and I can speculate whatever. I don't have any real information. Assange, that's a second stage hellhound. We call them spooks of the conscience, patriots, whatever. Snowden, second stage. Bradley Manning, second stage. Third stage, these guys just kill people. Third stage is the one you don't want to get to, because that's Fidel Castro, Saddam Hussein, George Washington. But the thing is do you get a Saddam Hussein, a Che Guevara, or do you get George Washington? George Washington is like a 6,000-year anomaly, where for the first time an overthrown government in history actually went towards liberty rather than just, new boss worse than the old boss, like Castro. That type of thing. So, yeah, that's going to be, and again, with people being knocked off and stuff like that, I think the people on the inside, because remember, one thing about these emails, whether you're anti-Trump or pro-Trump or anti-Clinton or pro-Clinton, the one thing that hasn't been done is these emails, they've been leaked out. Like Assange said, they weren't hacked, they were leaked out. People in the Democratic Party sent it out because they did the right thing. I can imagine a lot of these people are ending up dead, and we've seen a couple of people end up dead in the past month or two that were supposed to testify against Clinton. And then we've got what the hell's his name there? Eric Braverman? That guy's still missing. 3 possibilities. They killed him, he's on the run, or he's in witness protection. Which I hope it's the third one, because then the draining of the swamp. On the day that they got to bring this guy to, because it's all these people that are just about to testify and end up dead. Oh, they felt so bad they committed suicide, right? Yeah. So that stuff is going on, and that is a big part of just before stages of war. I know a lot of people say, well, just get to the stuff on the ground, and the bombers, and the planes, and the missiles, and the samurai swords, and whatever's going to come out in World War III. Nuclear samurai swords, that's what we're going to have in World War III. Yeah, it's like, we'll cut through tanks. It's like, shh, oi, tank. The tank's like in half and smoking, and the guy's in the tank. He's like, ah. Ever notice that? You ever watch those old like kung fu movies? The guy always goes, ah. Like it's like, it's not like, it's, I don't know, but it's awesome. Anyway, again, to all these Japanese and Chinese people that, yeah, I apologize. Yeah. Anyway, but I have fun with it too. Oh, yeah, okay. Obama gave the UN another $500 million. I guess this is kind of like buffer money. It's like, okay, you guys are good. See if you can make that last for 4 years or whatever for global warming, which is such a freaking scam. Total to date, I think, is $1 billion just on that. And of course, none of this money you can track. Surprise, surprise. That's why I'm totally for getting out of the UN altogether. Audit the UN, and Trump has talked about auditing the UN. He's talked about auditing the Fed. I mean, if you've been listening to Trump, the amount of truth bombs Trump is put up. This is where Trump has to put up or shut up, though, because if he doesn't do it right, or do what he says he's going to, or attempt to do what the people are going to turn on him, and then you will have a civil war. In the Ukraine, you have Operation Sea Breeze and Rapid Trident for 2017. These are every year, but they're going to ramp up big time. This is all that escalation you're seeing over there in Eastern Europe. And they're also talking about that war will break out. This comes from Davos, that if this is anti-Russian propaganda coming out, I believe, out of Davos, that if World War III is going to break out, it's going to break out in Latvia. That type of thing. And, the dumping of the US dollar, that type of thing. So, again, these globalists still want this. None of them are on our side. Libya is doing weapons deal with Russia. So what I would imagine, because if you got B-2 spirits right now flying around and bombing the shit out of the Libyan government, which is trying to overthrow the US influence there, how many of them are ISIS guys? Again, it's such a dirty game. We don't really know, especially Libya is like, there's a bit of a blackout there. You can't really find out the information because you don't know what team is playing what, right? And like Muammar Gaddafi said, if you get rid of me, the Middle East will burn. It'll just break out into like these. That's why these guys are dictators. They have to run these countries with an iron fist. Trust me, there was many CIA analysts that came out and said, we knew this right from the get-go, that it would be a bad idea to overthrow these governments. Because we know for a fact that the only thing that keeps stability in that region is the brutality of Saddam Hussein, Gaddafi, whatever. Those guys have zero tolerance for tolerance. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, no, you go against them, they'll just wipe out your entire village, that type of thing. So, but Gaddafi was also proposing a gold-backed dinar. He had giant underwater aquifers that he was going to pipeline water throughout northern Africa, which would create stability in the region. Can't have that now, can we? So anyway, yeah. But like I said, all the world elites, Muammar Gaddafi was the future of the world elites. They are going to be lynched in the streets like that at some point. Even Hillary Clinton said it, if we lose this election, we're going to get lynched. Now, I don't think she was saying that as a figure of speech of, we're going to lose our progressive agenda. No, they're going to get lynched. Why? Because when people find out what you're really doing to them, and there's a lot of people that still follow the mainstream media, and they're like, oh, Donald Trump's such a jerk. But like they've only known what the mainstream media teaches them, and literally teaches them. But the thing is that that's getting countered. Every time somebody wakes up from that, that's one less person you can't corrupt after. So far, it looks like the U.S. is backing up to 23,000 rebels in Raqqa. So we'll have to see what's going on there. The U.S. and so far to date, just so you know, this was somebody announced this at Davos. The U.S. has wasted $14 trillion on war over the years. $14 trillion. Where's my retirement, my health care for the next 18 generations? There you go. So when you hear numbers like that, and they say, well, we have to have mass immigration so we can take care of the seniors. No, we've got to cut the wars. That type of thing. For $14 trillion, you can feed every person on the planet very well for a good while. And for $14 trillion, you could probably grow a garden in just about every neighborhood on the planet. Food is stability. There was a guy, Bill Paxton. Remember Bill Paxton there? He played, was it in the movie Twister or something? There was a movie he was in. It was about Vietnam, how he wanted to basically, rather than going to war with the Vietnamese and having it escalate, to quit the war, the best thing, instead of bombing the rice paddies, was to the opposite. sway them with food, to drop food to the Vietnamese people who would then overthrow the Viet Cong. And they could have done it that way. They could have done it that way because, I mean, you can reach people through, Henry Kissinger said it best, food is a weapon. And they do plan on using that against it. They're using it in Venezuela against the people. That type of thing. So, the other thing, Canadian Prepper, again, if I ever do live chats, which hopefully, right now it's still a little too cold outside, even though it's been a very mild week, to do live chats with my computer in the van. What I might do, because I have a limited amount of internet that I can use per month, I only get 60 gigs, and what I'd love to have that guy as one of my first guests. And he was saying something interesting on the, he had a video called Liberals Are Now Prepping, because Donald Trump's in power. And he made a lot of great points in there. Him and I think alike so much on a lot. We don't agree on everything, of course, no two people do. But I think, there's a lot of times where I'll put out a video and then bang, he puts out a video almost on the exact same subject, or vice versa. And I say, oh, okay, that's very interesting. He's way more geared towards prepping. But he made a couple of really great points about how liberals, because now Trump's in and they're afraid of their liberty, they're moving towards prepping. But this is a golden opportunity for us called right-wingers or whatever. I think I'm more moderate in the center. I tend to be more right-leaning on a lot of issues. But the thing is that rather than bash them in the head like, I told you so, you should prep. You guys were anti-gun. No, I'm glad to see the light. Welcome to our side. This is why we do what we do, is because of these corrupt, insane governments. Now you get it. This is how, it becomes a reassurance. And you're crossing that left-right paradigm to moderation. And this is the important thing, because if everybody's in the center and moderate, you could sway a little one way, you could sway a little the other way. But we get rid of these really ideologue, batshit crazy 10% on the other end, each end of left-wingers, right-wingers, the neocons that always want to go to war and, completely rip the wealth out of the little guy, versus the Democrats that want to enslave you with communism and socialism and social justice and social engineering and all that crazy stuff that they have. So if we get people in the center, that's the way to go. And the best way to do that, rather than bash liberals that that are prepping, it's a good idea to extend the hand. Extend the hand. Plus, he was talking. Now, this is like third hand, I guess. But James Yeager, I know some of you guys like him, some of you guys don't. He had a Trump sticker or something on the back of his truck or whatever, and he was going through a drive-through, like I guess a McDonald's or something like that. Now I don't know if this is a real story, but this is coming from Canadian Prepper. And I don't think the guy would lie, And somebody, started yelling at him, whatever, the guy behind him. So what did he do? He bought him lunch. And it's like, that breaks that cycle of, oh my God, those people are so horrible, they're the racist, they're the bigot, the guy bought me lunch after I yelled at him. How much of a shitbag am I? You know what I mean? Like, that type of thing. So you kill him with kindness. And I think that's the best way. Right now, we've got a lot of terrified, tender snowflakes out there. The real crazy SJWs, I mean, I think they just show themselves with her. But the people that are semi-reasonable or semi-reachable, that are still completely, because they've been hyped up to be as scared of Trump like you would believe. Now, the people that are totally in the Trump camp, no, Trump is the good guy, that's it. The reason why I haven't come out as, okay, Trump's our guy, is because I don't know. Today is day one. Today is literally day one, providing he's still alive. I don't know. I'm pretty sure his security team is on top, but you never know. Because there is a lot of very unstable people that want Trump out of there because of the irrational fears that the mainstream media on the left and the right have brainwashed people into being so scared of Trump. This guy's going to be he's going to be in your socks. The only thing more terrifying than Donald Trump, the Russians did it. It's true. It's snowing right now? That's the Russians. That hockey stick that's left in the window, this hockey stick right here, this hockey stick that should be against the wall, the kid didn't leave that. The Russians did that. The Russians did it. Everybody knows that. The Russians did it. But anyway, I guess I'm going to have to wrap this up pretty soon. The only thing I could say is that we can only, and like most people that voted for Trump, you guys checked out my D1000. It's my D1000 hockey stick. Get down, get to the chopper, now! All right. So all the people that voted for Trump, there's a couple of things you have to keep in mind with Trump. Yes, Putin is playing chess, and he's a master at his game. But he's playing chess against a bull in a china shop, which Obama was just playing checkers in a pushover. I love what the guy worked in Reagan's administration, and he was at the Halifax Security Forum. Now, most of the people on the panel were anti-Trump. That's to be expected. You expect most government workers to be anti-Trump anywhere in the world because of the propaganda that's going to circulate through there. I mean, some of my friends that work in the in the government. Like, they have had to defriend me on Facebook because of their job. You know, they're like, oh yeah, there's a department in my department that monitors people's Facebook. This is in the Canadian government. Does that sound like liberty to you? You know, oh my God, they might have an opinion, so we have to have people. And this is not like a security type thing. This is like Transport Canada, you know, Elections Canada, whatever. You know, or not even that, like, you know, Health Canada. Those, you know, you don't need that, you know what I mean? But that tells you the grip that the establishment has. So, of course, those people don't know what's going on. And the guy said something really great. He goes, Trump is an egotistical man. We can clearly see that. And we could also see that he's a negotiator. God help Putin if he tries to cross Trump. And I believe that, because we're going to see a switch, and you can already see it. If Trump is the real deal, Putin is in trouble. He's in big trouble. Big trouble because of the reign of easy access to destabilizing U.S. opinion is going to go away. People are going to start to like the United States again if Trump is the real deal. They're not going to like him at first. I think the first 2 years is going to be miserable under Trump. But the next 6 years, I think, are going to be fantastic. Why? Because Trump is heading us into a storm, and he's getting ready to deal with the bankruptcy. He's getting ready to deal with the U.S. economic collapse. He's been signaling that. He's talked about the real unemployment. Like, there's only 62% employment in the United States. That's worse than the Great Depression level, which was 30%, I think, unemployment. This is almost 40% unemployment. It's just you don't see it because of the increasing of welfare stamps and food stamps and stuff like that. People are starting to notice. But the thing is with Trump, he's now starting from a position of neutrality. He really is. He is actually the moderate, believe it or not, as radical as you might think he is. Because he's not in anybody's pockets. He hasn't done any policy yet. He's only inherited what the Obama regime has brought in, which is New World Order stuff, whatever, corrupt elites, whatever you want to refer to them, lizard people, I don't care. They're bad people. And the thing is Putin has had the beautiful opportunity the only thing they have to do to make the U.S. look bad is tell the truth. And every time they do a truth bomb, it just kills U.S. foreign policy. It kills, people around the world. Just pick a country. Everybody's mad at the Americans. Migrant crisis. There's no European country that likes Americans right now. Maybe, like the government. Maybe not the people, but the government. I always separate the people and the government. You guys should know that by now. People are against the U.S. foreign policy. You have them over there in Austria. Yeah, we want to help the refugees, but we wouldn't have these refugees if they didn't destabilize the Middle East in the first place. You know what I mean? Again, we all go back. And again, all the Greater Israel Project, you have to look at that. If you want to understand what it's really about, that's a part of it. That's not all of it. The petrodollar, the pipelines, it's globalizing. It's a New World Order. The New World Order, so to speak, which we now call the Old World Order, they already have control of all this. They're trying to maintain control of this. So the Russians, all they had to do was tell the truth for the past 8 years to make the U.S. look bad. And it worked. But now they got Trump, so Trump can call bluff now on Putin. So he can say, okay, well, we're going to, look, NATO's all built up here. If you want us to de-escalate, we're going to make this deal. We'll back off this. You back off that. The second the Russians go against that, they're the bad guy. They have to honor their commitments. Because right now, there's no ammunition against Russia on that. The Russians are way ahead. Which is kind of good if it becomes a competition of honesty. It'd be the most bizarre thing you ever see. The new Cold War is who can out honest the other guy. Okay, well, no, we honored this commitment. Okay, chances of war here. Okay, no, we honored this commitment. Okay, well, we're going to call their bluff and make them go this far back. Well, you get rid of your nukes, and we move away from more, and we move away from more, and we move away from more. It'll always be there until nukes are hurled into the sun or off this planet or dismantled, whatever. That threat's always going to be there. And it's going to be in 4-year clumps. 4-year clumps, providing Trump doesn't get assassinated today or within the first 30 days. Who knows? And I think within 30 days we'll know if Trump is a good guy or bad guy. But the indications I'm seeing is Trump's going to be good on most things. I think there's, like, when it comes to Israel, he's not objective, which that's what I worry about. Because are they going to try to sway him into Iran? But then again, I don't see Trump as a stupid guy at all. I think somebody else really put it out there. Again, I don't know if he's a good guy. That's all I care about. Is he a good guy or not? Because if he's a good guy, his truth bombs will, anytime the GOP goes against him on a vote, he'll just name names. This guy went against me, this guy. He'll name them all. And then the electorate will be, well, that wasn't Trump's fault. It's, again, it's one of those weird things. The best way to to destroy this empire, just tell the truth. And the more that comes out, the safer we become. That said, if he's not the good guy, and okay, we just found another way to go to war with Iran, then the game's still on. So I know I get all kinds of comments. Oh, no, there's no change. We're still on that. Other people, no, there has been a coup. Steve Pachenik, again, I don't know where to really place him. Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Or is he just the other side of the neocon? Like that type of thing. I don't know. I do believe he's a good guy. I have heard him kind of slightly roll on Henry Kissinger, but he was working with Henry Kissinger. Again, we got deplorables and shadies that Trump has to pick with, and the people he's surrounding himself with, the Goldman Sachs bankers and stuff like that. Who can you trust in the Goldman Sachs? Maybe there are people that are saying, okay, well, these are the best people to actually, I'm going to do it for time, I'm going to have to wrap it up here, best people to actually undo the damage that was done, but they're still criminals. So it's such a shady area. We can only judge by actions. That said, anyway, let's see if we maybe do a little bit of skating, play a little bit of hockey, and then, yeah. So if you like this kind of content, please consider making a donation to the channel. Links down below. Thank you so much to everybody who has. Next time, rate, subscribe, share, comment, like, be true to yourself, be true to others. Always do the right thing, and have yourselves a great day, eh? And to all my Chinese and Japanese subscribers that I probably deeply offended during this. And, what's the other ones? What do the Chinese do? They don't bow, do they? I know the Japanese bow, but I'm just digging myself in deeper, ain't I? Yeah. All right, so, yeah. All right, have a good one anyway. G'day, and welcome. All right, I'm at the rink again. The hockey stick over there. Hockey stick's there. I brought mine and my skates. The rink isn't bad considering it's been so mild. Everything's good. At least the kids are using them anyway, so I'm happy they're using them. That's my old stick there. Well, nobody's broken it yet anyway. I'll put this back. All right, so today is inauguration day. My dad had time off today, so I wasn't able to sit there and watch the Trump inauguration. I'll watch it later, so hopefully he hasn't been assassinated or anything. At this point in the game, I don't know, what's going on in Washington there. So, but there was other things that were kind of coming up that I thought I'd make a World War III update. And set that so it's not. There we go. Don't need it on. It's like +5 out right now. Like it's really mild. And there's a whole bunch of, I think there's going to be a convoy of snowmobiles out there. So I'll do a quick video, my usual quick videos, and I'll go with that. I'm going to put my skates on, go skate. I was going to go skiing on the little hill today, but I figured I'd go skating instead. So all right. I guess I babbled up. Get to the point, you guys. Yeah, you guys are always kind of. All right. This one, again, I think the #1 journalist on the planet, not just this year, but like, I'd say years running, Ben Swann. You can't say enough about Ben Swann. Now, I know some people, they just want to hear about military movements on the ground. You guys hammer me on that too. We don't need to know this, but the reason why there's military movements on the ground in places around the world is because of the other stuff. So it's all like, you have to see it all as one big picture, right? But Ben Swann on CBS 42 did a thing on Pizzagate. I have not seen this yet. Apparently they pulled it within the first 24 hours, which, again, it just shows you, and I know Ben Swann wouldn't go at it. He did this. He would just point out the factual trail. That's all. The reality check series that Ben Swann has is superb, So hopefully nobody knocks him off. But that's the kind of journalist. If we had journalists like that at CNN and CBC here, we'd have such a great world because they would be so factual. Again, he's excellent on that. So I want to see that. I want to see what because that does link into the stuff we're seeing. It's the same group of people, right? Roger Stone, assassination attempt. This Roger Stone guy, I don't know a lot about it. I know I've seen him on Alex Jones a few times. Apparently he was like a hitman for the CIA or something along that line. Don't quote me on that. But again, what did I say we would see is these 5 years first. This is the stuff that's in the daylight. Can we only imagine what we don't know? That said, this one's kind of big, and I think this goes to the cleanup crew. Libya has just gotten stealth B-2 hits. Basically, they're striking along the coastal lines. Basically, what they're doing is they're trying to, because the Libyan government, their puppet government isn't working, and what's happening is that they're trying to sell the oil outside the US dollar, which we know what happens when you sell the oil outside the US dollar, that type of thing. And there's a bit of an irony here because of all these people trying to overthrow the, like Iran, for example, but Iran sells oil in the euro, I believe, and other, I guess imagine they must do other currencies as well. At least that's what I've heard. If that's not true, again, whatever. I want to be as factual as possible. And then, it's very hard, again, because I can only go by the news I can find, right? So I do like it when you guys jump in and say, no, Reg, that was a false report or whatever came from here. I mean, we've got to work together as a team if we want to step up and above the mainstream media as much as possible. But B-2s have done strikes on the coast of Libya there. I can imagine they were hitting like oil refineries and stuff like that is what they said, or at least what I heard, which is nothing new. So I guess what this is, and again, in Libya, anybody that's striking in Libya is a terrorist, right? So anybody that doesn't want the U.S. puppet regime in there, like what happened in Egypt, they're all terrorists. But in Egypt, we don't hear from Egypt. I think Egypt has completely switched to the Russian side. Turkey is definitely moving towards Russia. There's a Russian diplomat that died on the 20th of December. Not the one that was assassinated. There was two that were knocked off. There was that public assassination one. That one, Oli Demagar, how do you say? He was on SGT report, and he points out some really interesting things that might have been a false flag or a staged event. He doesn't know yet, and I don't know either. But there are some things. Now, the problem I have is when people say, no, there's no blood anywhere, there's no blood anywhere. As a hunter, okay, it's not like Hollywood. You don't see blood flying all over the place all the time. Sometimes you'll get a huge blood. You shoot a deer, for example. The first 100 feet, there's not a drop of blood. Where he dies, the area is covered. Or he's dead and all the blood stays internal. It really depends on the bullet wound. We don't know. But on a clear floor, you would think you would see blood coming out with the pressure of it. So these are valid points, but they're not absolutes. That type of thing. Again, as a hunter and a trapper, I haven't trapped in a while, but I have put animals down and stuff like that, so I know what gunshots wounds look like. And it's not consistent all the time. Sometimes, it's just plastered blood everywhere. Other times, there's a couple of drops. I don't know why it's like that. It just is what it is. Something to consider. But that said, what would have been the statement? Well, we still don't know what. I mean, the Russians could have knocked this guy off for himself. But there does seem to be some sort of what they said. It looked like it was a staged kill room. I mean, they looked at the pictures in the background and stuff like that. And again, it's hard to say. Yes, of course, there's going to be a Russian theme there. So again, is there something there? Is there not? But there's suspicion there. That said, the other guy that died in New York, and then of course you had all these Russian diplomats pretty much kicked out of the United States. First time in history that's ever happened. That only happens usually before a war breaks out. And then of course we've got this new guy, a Russian diplomat dies in Athens on the 20th, I guess, of December. I don't know much about that one. Or if that's the same guy, so maybe it's two guys, and I'm just hearing a new report of the one guy again. So, but that said, like I said, this 5 stuff, right? This is a little bit eye-opening, and I forget where I heard it, but it was recently posted. And something to consider, okay? All the bombs dropped in World War II, I guess excluding Nagasaki and Hiroshima, came up to 2 megatons of TNT. That's the equivalent. Which 2 megatons is basically one warhead. One warhead can be 10, 15 megatons. So all the bombs dropped by the Allies in World War II, which we're talking hundreds of thousands of bombs, close to 250,000 bombs, something along that line, in a 6-year span, 39 to 45 in Europe. I don't think this includes Japan, maybe it does. But anyway, it just gives you a perspective of how much firepower these things really are. And another interesting fact is that one nuke has the power of all of World War II, pretty much. But in World War III, there's going to be over 15,000